At any given moment in life, we have an opportunity to pause, to look around and look within, and to ask ourselves the question, am I having fun yet? Am I genuinely enjoying the cadence and rhythm of my life to the extent that I am choosing to continue this particular momentum, to continue to nourish the belief systems I have? Or is it potentially time for a shift? I imagine that if you found this video, whether you've been watching many of these conversations or whether this is your first one, that you're at a place of deep and genuine inner and outer evaluation in your life. One where you've been coming across your old beliefs, your old thought structures, maybe even entire ways you've been living in your life. And you've been asking a very genuine question about what is actually resonant for me moving forward from here. And perhaps you're also asking, and how do I live that? Because when we arrive at these key junctures, many times they can come with changes. And during this video, I'm going to invite us to together be present throughout every moment of this video so that you can arrive at a moment of clarity and intentionality on what step to take from here. Now, I'm Danielle Lynn, and I host conversations like this with cool creators such as yourself who are choosing to live natural lives in the state of your unique flow, which means instead of living a life through force and through what you should do, you're choosing to live a life of personal integration with who you truly are, what matters to you, and aligned with your values in ways that are satisfying and effective, not only internally, but around you. Now, I'm going to invite us to go ahead and let's go within and go inside to connect to this next step in our conversation. All right, so here we are inside. I figured we'd go a little meta with it. And from my experience, anything that you're interested in shifting in your life and reality, it begins within. It begins within because no matter what changes in your world, there you are. No matter what jobs shift, no matter where you move, no matter who comes and goes, there you are. And while we can certainly choose to have a change of scenery, change our job, and change our relationships, I find that if that is not simultaneously accompanied by a genuine inner shift, then we often find ourselves right back where we started, just with different faces and different names and such. And so when we're talking about connecting with your genuine flow, discerning what matters to you from here, from the sea of possibilities that you may or may not be aware of, we're always talking about being right here in the present moment within yourself and beginning to not only ask the genuine questions, but to be in a state of listening with yourself. Many people ask the question of how. How can I get the things I want? And often what happens is we may encounter a challenge when we're exploring the what, because on some level we may be not wanting or unsure of the how. Many a dream or desire was squashed in its infancy because even before we could allow the thought to leave our lips, we said, oh, that'll never happen. Oh, no, that's impossible. That's impossible. And you see, what happens at those moments is we're essentially creating that. Oh, that's impossible. Oh, that will never happen. When we consistently choose to knock down our possibilities, that becomes the pattern of life we experience. Even though the option to experience other realities could exist for us, as long as we say, no, it can't, and I don't mean just with our words, as long as we truly believe and perceive consistently, no, it cannot, then the reality is, and for me, no, it cannot. So when I bring that up sometimes, people will say to me, well, but I've done the manifestation or the affirmations, or I've placed all my focus on this thing and I've wanted it and I've thought about it and I've dreamt about it and I've written about it. One of the challenges that people run into with using a lot of these manifestation modalities, it's very similar to dieting. In the concept of dieting, a person has a way that they eat. They want to achieve a goal. So what they do is they say, I'm going to restrict my normal flow of eating so I can achieve a goal. Now, some people may do that. They often find it very challenging in dieting because you feel the constant pressure and restriction. There is what you want or what you want to eat or what you want to do. And you constantly exerting pressure both against what you want while simultaneously pushing yourself towards things that you may not want. Now, as you might imagine, that involves a tremendous amount of energy and force. Some people say, oh, yes, Danielle, but it works. Some people do that and they eventually lose the weight and they're so proud and happy.
But let's go a little deeper with this exploration because we're not talking about pathways that can connect you with an end result. We're talking about how to navigate this reality in ways that are genuine and natural and flow based to you, not forced based with a lot of effort.
Now, here's the really interesting thing. Back in the day, they used to have these weight loss shows and they would follow the contestants over a period of time and they would lose weight and everyone would be so impressed. And sometimes they would do a follow-up on contestants and certain people had gained all the weight back and sometimes more. And some of the question would be, well, why? Why would they do that? They were so happy with the weight loss and everything. What happened was, when they finally reached their goal, they stopped exerting the pressure they thought they needed to arrive at that place and resumed back with the original natural habits and patterns. And if the original natural habits and patterns continued to be the ones that would contribute to a structure of weight that they were originally at, then eventually they will find themselves back at that place because that is what that pattern creates. And so what I'm describing is, instead of approaching a change from a place of shifting how you approach your experience of life fundamentally through diet, people were attempting to retain the old system while forcing it to conform until they reached a destination. And this is what many people do in different areas of their life, where they are approaching things like self-improvement or reaching a certain goal. Now, I'm not saying everyone, but this is something that many people do when they're attempting to do something. They may use a lot of force and energy and effort to follow a system or structure that they think they need to in order to reach an objective. that is inherently unnatural to them and their current structure on some level, because they may not have bought into it at a core level, because whatever pattern that they may have had that contributed to a certain weight was addressed at a core level. It was addressed at a level that looked at why that structure was there in the first place. And if someone preferred to shift it, they first met it there, and then they were able to align with outer patterns that would contribute to landing at the desired goal. In the same way, when it comes to things like, let's say, your business or how you receive money or how you live the lifestyle you do, some of us create or amplify structures that we think we need to live in order to thrive or survive, without, once again, coming to the core of what matters to us and genuinely evaluating, what do I actually need in this scenario? And what is it that I believe I need and maybe haven't investigated further? Because there is a strong distinction between genuine wants and needs. Okay, there's a strong distinction between that. And sometimes we mistake one for the other. And sometimes we look at our perceived preferences. Oh, I need to graduate in this way. I need this certain job. I need this certain body. I need my health to be this way. I need this, I need this, I need this. When what we might be looking at and what we might be chasing is the idea of what we need. And we may be holding on so tightly to that idea that we might be looking over other possibilities, ideas, opportunities, or outcomes that we could be connecting with at the present moment that more closely align what we want to live and what we ultimately want to experience. But because we are so fixated on a particular outcome, we may not even see them at all. We may not even recognize them as the potent stepping stones that they are. What I'd like to invite you to consider in this discussion and in this whole exploration is, at this juncture you're at in your life, as you're sitting with and evaluating certain possibilities for yourself and measuring what stays and what might be ready to be let go of.
And so the question that I will invite you to ponder, if it feels resonant for you to do so, is, what do I imagine it would genuinely take for me to live a version of my life where I'm genuinely enjoying myself as a natural way of living that doesn't require an external circumstance to be a certain way first. And this is the key of the inquiry. What would I need to believe in order for me to begin enjoying my life deeply right now from wherever I'm at? In this question, should you allow yourself to ponder it a bit, as you might reveal to yourself the edges of the stories that you have adopted along your journey that may be complete, that may have been requiring you to conform in order for you to continue to adopt them in your life. And as you sit with this exploration, perhaps invite yourself an additional inquiry to play with. What matters to me now when I'm not looking outside of myself for what matters? What matters to me now?
If I'm experiencing something I don't prefer, What would I need to believe in order to perpetuate that? And further, is that belief something that I perceive as absolute? Or do I have an opportunity to be curious about this thing that I may or may not be believing, that may or may not be holding my life pattern in a certain place? And I'm ready to look at it in a new light. So, in closing, I deeply appreciate the time that we chose to spend together today. Check it out. Hi, Mama Kitty. Hi, good girl. Sweet thing. Yeah, sweet thing. And if you would like to go deeper, you can go ahead and check my description link. I have links to my self-alchemy lab, as well as other resources and pathways to connect with me, either one-on-one or through my workshops. And in all cases, appreciate you. And I look forward to our next conversation.